Hello, we finally caught up with Jeremy Widdowson from Rovio today, and it was fantastic speaking to him. He first caught our eye at the IPM conference, talking all about account management. We really wanted to pick that conversation up and run with it. He shares some really interesting insights from years of experience across loads of different verticals, and comes up with what I refer to, I think, as the Game of Thrones for account management in performance marketing. Really interesting guy. If you want to pick up the conversation with him, I've tagged him here on LinkedIn. He's more than happy to speak. Really lovely to speak to. Also, if you share a passion for dogs, so does he. So that's a good place to start. I'm Richard Bond from Replay, and this is Expert 360. Excellent. So very, very lucky today to be joined by Jeremy. Jeremy, would you like to introduce yourself?
I would love to. So, hello, everyone. My name is Jeremy, as you might know. I have been working in performance marketing for about 6 or 7 years now, kind of everywhere. So, mainly within the app space, but also web-based stuff from food delivery to gaming to education to music technology, a bunch of different verticals. So, pretty seasoned in that aspect, but always learning more. Currently at Rovio, as you might see that big bird there. So very happy to be here. I could share some more interesting stuff,
Please
maybe more
do.
personal stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, do it.
I am the proud owner of 2 dogs, one small dog and one very big dog.
Can I just 1 second? I love that combination more than anything else. When you see dog duos together and one is tiny and one is massive, it just fills me with joy.
I don't know if I need to send you some dog pictures to plug in
Yes,
here.
yes, we do. We need that.
But yeah, so I like dogs and I like birds.
Well, that's a good
That's all.
combo.
Yeah,
Useful as well for your
yeah.
position. And yeah, obviously I've seen your LinkedIn profile as well, and it's really great. The stuff that you mentioned, pretty all of them really huge in terms of performance marketing and opportunities there at the moment. So obviously saw you at the IPM conference. It was really interesting what you had to say there, and it was a lot to do with obviously relationships with account managers at some
Mm.
networks or partners. What I found really interesting about that is that's something that I think a lot of people either internalize or pick up along the way. It's not really something people talk about overtly, and yet think it's really,
Mm.
really useful and very, very interesting. So there was a few things there that I wanted to cover, and we'll see where the conversation takes us. So let us pick your brain about that. I guess first of all, one of the major things, right, with all the mergers and acquisitions that are going on at the moment, changes to privacy, there is a lot
Mm.
of movement in the industry from one supplier, from one partner to another. So, with that in mind, like, what advice would you actually give to someone who is now starting out an entirely new relationship with an account manager?
Yeah, no, that's a really good one. I think there's so many facets to that. I think kind of general recommendation for everything is to know motivations and to understand where
Hmm.
they're coming from. So let's say you are working at a game studio and you make casual games, and there's an advertiser or a network you want to start advertising with, and they've just been acquired by a studio that also makes casual games. So first thing is you need to identify, hey, are they like a direct competitor? Are they going to be able to learn anything from our advertising behavior, which they might be able to use within their advertising, or then even further with their game development? So this is something you need to keep in mind, and this is something, of course, you're protected by contracts most of the time, but then when you do have like human interaction, things tend to slip sometimes. You can get very comfortable. You might kind of accidentally mention the game you're working on or some mechanics which are coming out to your account management team. So you need to add some kind of little mental block there. It kind of sucks because you should always be open and transparent, but in these kind of situations, it's not going to be for your best interest to be as open as you might be with other account management teams.
Hmm.
So keep in mind that there are very interesting things which you come across day to day in your job, and those things you should probably guard them. So be a bit careful there.
Hmm.
That isn't to say that you shouldn't be working with these networks. Like by any means, they could bring a lot of additional knowledge to the table. They could help you like tremendously. But you just need to be careful that you're not going to be revealing anything you shouldn't.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, I know this is something I can go on and on and on about. Like it's such an interesting
I,
situation
I
now.
think, yeah, if there's something else on your mind, I think it's really relevant now, and I think it's going to be even more
Mm.
relevant certainly in the first quarter of next year, because I don't think we're done with all the M&A that's been going on by a long shot, and
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of stuff to go on there, and obviously these relationships are they're pivotal. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think the way you're talking about it is like kind of the Game of Thrones for networks here, which is I'm quite enjoying. Uh, so yeah, what else kind of would you say there? Obviously, understand the situation. You gave a good example there. You know, what are the motivations there?
Hmm.
But surely all account managers' motivations. I might be being cynical here. I might just be saying this to just throw up some conversation. But surely all of them are grow your account by any means.
Yep. No, I mean it's true. Like I can't argue with that. The thing is, what tactics are used to grow your account, and are they in, you know, their interest or your interest, or is there a mutual interest there? It's kind of finding the balance.
Mm,
Um, the really interesting thing is like if you develop a good relationship with your account management team or your point of contact, it's not just a one-way street, right? They're not just taking things from you. Generally, you're taking things from them as well. You can actually grow a very good sort of working relationship and maybe personal relationship as well, but by sharing information and sharing tactics. And this is what I mentioned earlier, that yeah, there'll be certain things which you shouldn't talk about. There's also certain things they shouldn't talk about, right?
mm,
So you could also be sneaky and you could play the game from the other side. You can start picking their brains. You can start trying to figure out what are they up to? What have they seen with their clients? Do they know any game studios who are working with this currently? And chances are they do because they are owned by a game studio. So you'll start getting some information as well.
okay, so
I wouldn't recommend kind of going corporate espionage though. But I mean, the avenue does open up.
yeah, potential issues there, but I see what you're saying. Basically, what you're saying is don't blunder in naively, right? And
Yeah.
kind of make sure that you've got that relationship, and try and see perhaps through just the what is presented to kind of the motivations behind it. I guess is what you're talking
Yeah.
about there, because
Yeah.
growing your account with a network might not always be a bad thing, as you say. Like if you're getting successes there and it's tied into revenue and spend, and you're seeing the return, that's a great thing. So
Hmm.
yeah, I hear you on that one, but again, you've been doing it this quite high level for years. So how can you actually tell if the advice they give is good or not? Because this might be a network that you're unfamiliar with. You might be forced to jump into something new where you've got no spend, you've got no history with it before.
Hmm. That's a great one. I mean, with this, so personally, what I do is I talk with friends and colleagues who have run ads with this network before. So usually, when you're talking with the account management team, it's a one-on-one situation. You're kind of in a vacuum. They're the expert. You're there to kind of get advice, especially if you don't know the network. You take a lot of things from face value. But in those situations, you never need to make a decision in the moment.
Hmm.
You know, if they recommend certain things and you're not quite sure, you can say, all right, like I'll come back to you. Go talk with your team, go call your friends, go on LinkedIn, whatever, and just start asking questions. You can even go on Google. Like the options are pretty much unlimited. So I have like two or three people who I've worked with previously who have been my manager at different points in my career, and I usually still go to them like, hey, I'm starting up this network. Do you have any recommendations? Most of the time, they've run them all. And they'll say, like, yeah, just don't increase your bid every second day as they might recommend. I'm like, okay, cool, good to know. So you get that kind of external knowledge, come back to your account management team, and then you challenge them.
Hmm.
You say, like, hey, why should I be doing this? And what if this happens? I've heard from these people that this can happen very easily. Do you have anything to prevent that from happening? So start the dialogue, challenge. Ultimately, you are working together, right? Like a lot of the time, it is a us versus them sort of deal.
Hmm.
I don't think it needs to be that way. I think if you are transparent and honest and open and nice, it'll usually go well. But in those situations, you don't have to rush to any decision.
Hmm.
You can take your time. You can kind of check your network for any tips and ideas.
Great. Okay, so obviously reach out to the network, right? Make sure you
Mhm.
understand again kind of the motivations behind it, challenge them. I guess try and get to transparency is essentially what you're saying, right? Kind of a
Yeah,
bit of
yeah.
transparency within the realms of safety, perhaps. Okay.
Yes, I mean, again, it's a tricky balance.
Well, let's focus on the positive because we've got obviously a lot of our customers got really great relationships with different networks and partners and their account
Mm.
managers. We've got good ones as well. So, could you give an example of like a win-win relationship here? Something where I don't know, you don't need to give away any of your trade secrets, obviously, but
Yeah.
something where that relationship bore fruit.
Yeah. So one stands out. Um, I'm gonna name drop a
Please
network.
do. I bloody love a name drop, especially when
Yeah.
someone's earned it.
So this was Google a couple of years ago, and when we were running with them, we were very iOS heavy. This was before ATT. Very iOS heavy at a previous company, and Android was very unproven, especially on Google. It was kind of no, like Android users, they're cheap. They're not going to monetize as well as iOS. We were kind of with the utility app at the time. There was very little trust in actually investing on Android. So I came into the company very fresh, like new perspective on everything, and I knew that Android does convert. If it's games, if it's utilities, you just got to do it the right way. So speaking with our account management team, and one person in particular, his name is Hermanni, a fellow Finn. We together we started like kind of making a battle plan of, okay, if we would do Android, what would we do? Like anything that he could share, based on, of course, not revealing too much from clients, but hey, this strategy seems to work. Like you can actually try this. Creatives might actually be a bit different. Your placement is definitely going to be different. Together, we sort of started digesting the idea of how would we take this forward. And he actually inspired, or what way would you put this? He inspired a lot of confidence, or I inspired confidence. He inspired confidence in me. I'm not sure. Either way,
That's good
he
though.
was very.
That's nice. Do you know what I mean? That means obviously you were working quite closely together.
We were definitely. So he kind of gave me the courage to push this forward because again, like it was very unproven. So I was able to put a very nice plan together with him, kind of set milestones, set targets, and he helped me get the means to actually track this and push it forward. And we got the budget to do it. We started running tests, and lo and behold, after about a month and a half of persistency, it was actually doing well. And then, like within 8 months, iOS and Android were on equal spend on Google.
Wow.
And this is something that I wouldn't have done on my own. Like I was terrified to kind of challenge the status quo, but this dude was like, "Hey, like I got you. I know what I'm doing. Like we can do this."
Great.
And we did, and it was great. Like it was incredibly good for the company. It was good for my own development. Like it was definitely one of the top experiences I've had. Like with that
Everyone's winning
account.
there.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
it was good stuff.
that's great. Yeah, really great to hear.